Now, Hajj on the ground, sponsored by Hunafa.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك.
إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك. لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك. إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك. لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك. إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك. لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك. إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك. لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك. إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك. لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك. إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك. لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك. إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك. لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك. إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك. لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك. إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك. لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك. إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك. لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك. إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك. لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك. إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك. لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك. إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك. لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك. إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك. لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك. إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك. لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك. إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك. لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك. إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear viewers, I am your host Ihtisham for today for the last of Hajj on the ground. Alhamdulillah, Hajj on the ground has been here from the day of Tarwiyah, the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, all the way till the 12th of Dhul Hijjah, which is today, the day of Tashriq. It is now the 12th of Dhul Hijjah. And today is the day where most of the Hujjaj, most of the pilgrims will actually be completing their Hajj rites and all of the ibadat that goes on throughout the season of Hajj and the days of Hajj will be completed today. Those who had difficulty, however, will be most likely staying over another day, and those who would like to complete the full days as is the Sunnah will also be staying until tomorrow, the 13th. And that would be the absolute final day of the Hajj rites. But most people will actually be finishing today, and there is no blame upon them. And today is most likely when most of the Hujjaj and the pilgrims will finish their Hajj. People will be either returning home, returning to reside in Makkah, or they will be actually making their ways towards Medina. Now, I mentioned we were here on Hajj on the ground from Yom Tarwiyah, which is the 8th of Dhul Hijjah. So just to recap what's happened. What is Hajj? What is the process that all of these Hujjaj have kind of traversed upon to get to this point? So on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, most of the Hujjaj, most of the pilgrims were not in Ihram as of yet. I speak generally, and I'm saying the most likely scenario because this is the kind of the best practice. Most of the Hujjaj would not have been in any kind of Ihram. So on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, they would have been in Makkah. This specific year, it was a Jum'ah, so they would have prayed Makkah in either of the Haram, either in Medina, either in Makkah, Al-Mukarramah, and they would have prayed their Jum'ah, and they would have then assumed the Ihram. The Ihram is the intention of getting in a state of Ihram. This is the most important point. And then the second thing is they would have assumed the clothing of Ihram. For the men, the two unstitched, unsewn garments, the top and the bottom layers. And for the women, it will be the intention. And for them, there is no specific clothing. And then they would have now assumed the state of Ihram. The state being the most important part here, more than the clothing. And they would have some points that they are abstaining from, some certain prohibitions which were lawful for them that are now unlawful for them, such as covering of the head, shaving or trimming any of the bodily hair, covering the head, actually wearing like some sort of topi or shimar, and from there on they would also be restraining from any kind of intimacy between, there would be no marital relations, intimacy between the spouses, and so on and so forth. So this would have been right at the start on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah at Yawm al-Tarwiyah. Then they would have assumed that ihram, whether in their hotels or the masjid, for example, and they would start making their way towards Mina. Mina being the city of the tents. Everyone's seen the pictures of just huge tents spread out across. SubhanAllah, I actually did a bit of Googling and a bit of AI. I asked a certain AI bot, I don't know if I can name them, but I asked a certain AI intelligence bot that, what is the size of Mina? And it gave me back, again, so I caveat this with I'm not sure if it's 100% accurate, but it gave me roughly 20 square kilometers. That is a huge size. 20 square kilometers is roughly the size of Mina. And I asked it to also tell me if this was to be overlaid on top of a map of London, what size would it occupy? And it told me that it would occupy the size of the city of Westminster, covering the Buckingham Palace, the Houses of Parliament, Westminster Abbey. So it covers the entire city of Westminster. Now that is a huge area. So you can imagine, when you go to central London, you go into the city of Westminster, how many tourists we see. So likewise, the city of Mina houses roughly about 2 million people. I had official numbers the other day on my WhatsApp come through from Saudi to me, and it roughly reported that they had international visits of 1.8 million people. That doesn't include the local residents, and that doesn't include some of the people maybe who just kind of jumped over the mountains and then snuck into Mina as well. But roughly, officially, all the foreign dignitaries, everyone coming from land or ferry or airport would have had to report and get stamped into the country for the Hajj and had their permits in. And that number was reported to be 1.8 million Hujjaj, 1.8 million pilgrims. So now, going back to it, the size of the city of Westminster, the city of Mina. It's not really a city, but the Mina itself. So in Mina, they would have spent this day on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, Yawm al-Tarwiyah. This day they would have been resting and preparing for the most important day. As the Prophet ﷺ, he said in a hadith, and again, he used just 2 words to signify the importance of this day during Hajj. He said, Al-Hajju Arafah, and he repeated it 3 times. That is it. That is the meaning behind the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, which is Yawm al-Arafah. So they would have been resting on this day to make sure they had enough energy, they would have had enough plan and timing and rest to prepare for this momentous day, which is the day of Arafah. SubhanAllah, the day of Arafah is the day of dua. The day of Arafah is the best day in the entire year. The day of Arafah is the day where Allah Azza wa Jal descends to the lowest heaven in a way befitting of His majesty and might, asking His slaves who wants to be forgiven. Allahu Akbar. This day where the pilgrims from afternoon, from early hours, all the way till sunset are only supplicating to the Lord Most High. So this day is the 9th of Dhul Hijjah. That is what the rites of Hajj would have been on Yawm al-Arafah. They would have read some Quran, they would have made some dua, they would have done something else to occupy the schedule, because it's very difficult to make dua all day. And I just want you to reflect on that. The Prophet ﷺ was only engaged in dua the whole day. And the sunnah is to pray Dhuhr and Asr together in combination and shortening, so that you are able to capitalize on the time for dua. So that when it comes time for Maghrib, you're not even praying Maghrib there. You pray Maghrib later, so that you don't have to rush off. You complete everything, because that whole time is for dua. SubhanAllah. So after Maghrib time, the day of Arafah comes to a close, which is the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, turns into the 10th of Dhul Hijjah. This is when the Hujjaj, the day from Yawm al-Arafah, it turns into Yawm al-Nahr, which is the day of sacrifice. And we'll come to that. But during this period from Maghrib to Isha, the Hujjaj, the pilgrims, will be transferring themselves and traveling from the plains and the grounds of Arafah all the way to Muzdalifah. Muzdalifah is another open barren land. It's a flat plain ground. And this is where they will sleep. As many of our guests have said, it's the 1,000-star hotel. It's a 1,000-star hotel of Allah, where you sleep in open air. Literally between you and the heavens, there is no ceiling. You sleep on the ground, you look up into the sky and see the stars, you see the beauty of creation, and you really see the signs of Allah Azza wa Jal. And you try to get a few hours of sleep, a short nap, even if it may be, and you're kind of transported there through walking or coaches to Muzdalifah. And the point of Muzdalifah is just to rest and sleep as much as you can until the hours of Fajr. You pray Fajr, and once the sun has risen, you now make your way back. So this is Muzdalifah. In Muzdalifah, you also importantly collect all of your pebbles. You collect your 21 or so pebbles, so you are prepared for Jamarat. Now we are in the day of Nahr, the day of sacrifice. For the pilgrims, this is Yawm Nahr. For us non-pilgrims here in the West, right, it is the day of Eid. It is the day of Eid, which is, alhamdulillah, we celebrated on Sunday. Everyone had a great time. There was Eid in the park, which happened through Eman Channel as being one of the main sponsors. And we had Eid with Eman live here on Eman Channel, and Eid in Chessington, also supported by Eman Channel. So alhamdulillah, we had a great day with Eman Channel all over the place, and hopefully you joined us for them. And the Hujjaj, they were busy with the Hajj rites. This is the day where they would have, again, it's called Yawm Nahr. Why? Because they would have done the Udhiyah, they would have done their Qurbani. So this is where that would have come into place. They would have gone to do a Tawaaf as well. They would have gone to do a circumambulation of the Kaaba, and they would have performed a sa'i as well. So for some people, this is obligatory because of the type of Hajj they're doing, and for others, this is a recommendation and a sunnah as well to do. Either case, this is when they would go to do so. So they would now return from Muzdalifah all the way to Makkah, right? This is now going from Muzdalifah all the way back to Makkah to perform this. This is also when they would come out of Ihram. They would have shaved their heads and trimmed their hair for the females, and they would have performed these actions. Then they make their way to the Jamarat. They would make their way to the stoning, okay? And this is where they symbolically would stone the devil, the shaitan, okay? And they have 3 pillars to stone, going in order from the smallest to the largest, okay? And that takes place on Yawm Nahr, okay, which is the 10th of Dhul Hijjah. Then the days of Tashriq, which are the 11th, the 12th, which we're on today, and then the 13th as well, as I mentioned earlier. So alhamdulillah, most people now, by the 12th of Dhul Hijjah, would have completely finished the Hajj rites. They would have done their stoning as well, and they would have finished everything else that's in kind of required of them for them to perform. However, some people are staying either from today, okay, they're either staying in Mina, relaxing, enjoying, and they would make the journey to Jamarat and back to Mina, or what they are doing is they're going to pack up completely and finish today. So either you're staying until the 13th, or you're finished on the 12th, and this is the final day of the Hajj rites that are required. So alhamdulillah, that was a quick recap of the entire Hajj and what the Hujjaj have to do, exactly where we are today. Maghrib time will be there soon for the Hujjaj. We're going to try go on the ground into Mina, and hopefully maybe even the Jamarat, and speak to our team on the ground and show you what it's like and how everyone is feeling now that the Hajj is coming to a close and completion. But just before that, we're going to go to a very short video of our brother Saeed, who's been joining us, alhamdulillah, on the ground, who've been showing us from Hunafa Travels, and they're the ones who have really showed us the logistics side. So have a look at this, and we'll see you after this.
So today is 11th of Dhul Hijjah. It's the days of Tashriq. We're on our way to do the Jamarat. This is the first tunnel. There's 3 tunnels to go through before you get to the Jamarat. The crowds are huge. Allahu Akbar, walillahil hamd. We're approaching the second tunnel, so this is tunnel 2 of 3. We've been walking for about half an hour, 40 minutes so far already. Very slow pace. We're getting there. This is the entrance of the Jamarat. You can see over there the 3 stations. So as I'm approaching the first station, I'm going to get my 7 stones ready. Also thinking about my dua that I'm going to make after stoning the first Jamarat. So you make dua between the first and the second. And after you've stoned the second station, you make dua. And there is no dua after the third one.
MashaAllah, as you saw, Brother Saeed showing us exactly the entrance into the Jamarat, how open that space is, how many people are there right now stoning as well. Alhamdulillah. Just to mention also with the stoning that takes place is that there is no physical devil present. SubhanAllah, some people, during this period, they take it very serious, and you don't need to throw very aggressively. It's not a time where you release your anger and frustration to the devil. It's a symbolic thing that we do here, right? And this is exactly where you're just meant to lightly throw, right? You're just meant to lightly throw. You see some people going into some sort of extremes here where they start to throw their slippers, they get really frustrated, they take a run up as if they're playing cricket or something, subhanAllah. So generally it's a light throw. It's very easy. You simply throw your stones and you move forward to the next one. And this is how everyone's kept safe as well. As you can imagine, if someone's pelting their stones with somewhat of strength and speed behind them and force, it really could lead to some injury. So you can see the sheer number of people here. And alhamdulillah, as you can see, generally there's a lot of security around. Generally there's, so you see officers and volunteers. So it's a pretty safe area. But obviously advice, if you're ever going to go to Hajj, just to let other people know around you how it should be. Advise one another. We are a nation of advising good and forbidding evil. And also for yourself as well, just in case you thought something else, this is actually not the case. So alhamdulillah, brothers and sisters, as you can see, that was Saeed taking us through how it felt like to be in the Jamarat. As you can see, mashallah, this is now a huge facility that they've managed to set up. It's now a big complex, alhamdulillah. It used to be very small, very crowded, and now the authorities and the Hajj ministry itself has managed to make it so accessible. It has varying levels to it as well, which really help, because now you can have some sort of traffic management. Because if everyone was on one level, it'd make it extremely difficult to even get around and move forward. There'd have to be some sort of complex one-way system that goes on. But alhamdulillah, they've got huge ramps. Everyone goes to a different level, and it's made very easy. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Now, as you can see also with the shot on your screen right now, the sun doesn't look to be so high because it looks like it's getting darker and darker. And that's because they're approaching Maghrib time. Now that they're approaching Maghrib time, they will go in from the 12th of Dhul Hijjah into the 13th of Dhul Hijjah, which means most people are now going to be actually finishing the rites of Hajj, and most people are going to either go back home or go back to Makkah or Medina and continue their journey onward wherever they're traveling to. However, some people will stay and complete the 13th day as well, and you'll see and you'll notice that the crowds lessen and lessen and lessen. Most people would have already done their stoning much earlier in the day, which also means that they're now completely finished. So they'll be packing up their tents in Mina, they'll be packing up, getting their belongings. Now you have a sense of relief, subhanAllah. Now you have a sense of everything is completely done. Everything is completely done. There's nothing else to do. And with that said, we have a video from Ustad Naif, who's been joining us the whole time, mashallah. He's been making dua for you on Arafah as well. So let's have a look what he has to say.
Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulullah. Today is 12th of Dhul Hijjah. On this day, the pilgrims will throw stones at Jamarat al-Sughra, the small stoning area, Jamarat al-Wusta, the medium stoning area, Jamarat al-Kubra or Jamarat al-Aqaba, the main stoning area. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran, وَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ فِي أَيَّامٍ مَعْدُودَاتٍ, and remember Allah on the numbered days. فَمَنْ تَعَجَّلَ فِي يَوْمَيْنِ فَلَا إِثْمَ عَلَيْهِ. And whoever hastens to leave the area after 2 days, there is no sin upon him. وَمَنْ تَأَخَّرَ فَلَا إِثْمَ عَلَيْهِ. And whoever delays it to the 13th, فَلَا إِثْمَ عَلَيْهِ, they don't have any sin on them. لِمَنِ اتَّقَى, whoever fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more. So today you will see that pilgrims, after throwing the stones, will make their way out and they will leave the grounds of Mina. And that will bring an end to their Hajj. The only thing left for them to will be to perform Tawaful Wida, which is the farewell Tawaf. We make that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts everyone's good deeds. We make that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala returns everyone like a newborn child. And we make that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala strengthens the Ummah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, removes the oppression from around the world, and lets them lead as the leaders. Sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi sahbihi.
MashaAllah, as you saw Sheikh Naif, MashaAllah, at the Jamarat, making beautiful dua, telling us exactly what goes on, how the Hujjaj need to do the stoning, and the beautiful verse that he mentioned. The point I was relating to earlier, that most of the Hujjaj are also going to finish today, and some are going to stay, and there is no blame upon them as well. Alhamdulillah. A beautiful dua as well for the rest of us, that inshallah we get to go, and that those who are there, they come back and return as leaders, as they come back renewed and refreshed and rejuvenated. Alhamdulillah. Brothers and sisters, we are heading to a very short break, inshallah. We will join you on the other side. Please stay tuned to Hajj on the Ground. This is the last episode, and as we bid farewell to the Hajj, subhanAllah, we can do it together with some joy, inshallah, and we still have plenty more in store for you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك. لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear brothers and sisters, I'm your host, Ihtisham. Alhamdulillah, you've been with us all the way throughout the season of Hajj, alhamdulillah, and you have seen some beautiful images, you've seen some spiritually uplifting moments and some inspirational stories, alhamdulillah. I remember personally the story of the man who became ill just before the day of Arafah on the Yawm Tarwiyah, and as soon as he got to Mina, he had to be rushed off to the hospital, and he was struggling, subhanallah, he was struggling, but on that night he pulled through. Alhamdulillah, Allah cured him and gave him the strength that on Yawm al-Arafah, he spent the whole day in dua. He was standing up, making dua the whole day. He was completely fine, rejuvenated, strengthened. And alhamdulillah, Brother Saeed from Al-Hunafa Travel, they updated us and told us of this amazing and inspiring story as they were on the route after having completed Arafah. They were en route to Muzdalifah. He told us he was in that coach with them and this is what happened. And the brother next to him witnessed the same thing and testified to the story as well, subhanallah. And with 1.8 million people, I'm sure there's many stories that we didn't hear that would really inspire us. And all of that source of inspiration is from the sacrifice of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Ibrahim alayhi salam is the reason why we perform Hajj. The rites of Hajj come from him and his family. And there are so many different perspectives to look at it. Whether you are a husband, whether you are a man, whether you are a child, whether you are a wife and a daughter or a woman, you have three different perspectives to think about Hajj. The perspective of Ibrahim alayhi salam with Hajj, the perspective of Ismail alayhi salam with Hajj, and the perspective of Hajar alayhi salam with Hajj. Right? These are the three different ways you have to look at Hajj through as lenses. Now let's talk about Ibrahim alayhi salam as a father, as a very old man, as a leader by himself, right? Got given a dream. And remember that the revelation through dreams is only for the prophets, and they know when this is happening. So let's not try to interpret our dreams ourselves and chase our family members with some meat cleavers and so on. But remember that this was for the prophets. Now, Ibrahim alayhi salam had a dream, as we all know. The dream to sacrifice his son. And at this point, remember, it took decades, not a few years, not a few months, but decades, where Ibrahim alayhi salam was well in his 90s when he was blessed with a child. After so many years of wanting a son or a daughter, he was blessed with a child at this age. The time that Ibrahim alayhi salam had to sacrifice his son, Ismail alayhi salam was very young. Ismail alayhi salam hasn't even done like his GCSEs, just to put it in context. He hasn't even done his A-levels. He hasn't even got university degree or started working and, contributed to the rent at home or got married. And Ibrahim alayhi salam didn't even see his children. He didn't even see his adulthood yet. Yet, the command from Allah came that he has to sacrifice his son. But Ibrahim alayhi salam did not question Allah's command. He did not say, Ya Allah, is this true? Is this not true? Why do I have to do this? You've just sent me a son after so many years. I haven't even seen my son grow. No. Ibrahim alayhi salam knew what he had to do. It was to obey Allah unconditionally. This is exactly how we as believers need to be. Unconditional obeying of the commands of Allah. Right? And we have different commands to the commands of the prophets. So Ibrahim alayhi salam spoke to his son. Said, I have been instructed, this is my dream. Now, that's from Ibrahim alayhi salam. And we know the end of the story. He did not have to sacrifice his son. Allah replaced it with a ram. And that's where we have the udhiyah, that's where we have the qurbani, where we now follow in his footsteps of obeying God's commands, the Almighty's commands, and he was blessed. It got replaced completely for him. Allah blessed him and allowed him to have his son. But Ibrahim alayhi salam stood firm on that, willing to sacrifice anything to obey Allah. This is the sacrifice of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Similarly, I just want to pick up in the same instant, Ismail alayhi salam. Whether you're a son, whether you are in that condition to be a youth, you're not an adult, you're not responsible over your family. Now look at Hajj through that perspective. Ismail alayhi salam knowing his father being a righteous man, knowing him to be a man of God, right? A man of God who's righteous, who will never let him down, as a father figure, has that communication, has that established relationship. He says, this is what I've been commanded to do. Also instilling righteousness and taqwa. That same nature, Ibrahim alayhi salam went exactly down into his son. So his son goes, if this is what Allah has told you to do, do it. Do it, no problem. You will find me, I agree, and I'm one of the patient. If this was Allah has told you, do it, no problem. Look at that. Again, from Ibrahim's sacrifice, look at Ismail's sacrifice. He didn't say that I haven't lived my life yet. I haven't grown up yet. I haven't had my own family yet. I haven't done anything in life yet. I haven't accomplished. I haven't lived my dreams. I haven't done this and that. And who are you? Are you sure, you're imagining things? Maybe, it wasn't Allah. Maybe it was the devil. Maybe, you had a bit too much to drink. What's going on? Maybe the desert heat is getting to you. There were no excuses, my brothers and sisters. There were no excuses whatsoever. So Ismail alayhi salam, what did he do? He sacrificed himself. He was willing to sacrifice. Ibrahim alayhi salam sacrificed Ismail, and Ismail sacrificed himself. Allahu Akbar. And then we have the taqwa and the sacrifice of Hajar alayhi salam. When she was left alone in that desert, when she was performing the running between Safa and Marwa, and through her sacrifice and through that blessing, that we also have the blessing of Zamzam, which to this day feeds millions and millions of people. When she stopped Ibrahim as he turned around to leave them alone in that desert with nothing but mountains and sand around them, she said, Ibrahim, just tell me one thing. Why are you leaving us here? And he said, it's not me. I have been commanded to do this. I have been commanded to do this. Right? And what did she say? She said, go. I don't need you. Allah is my provider, my protector. He will look after me. Allah has me. Allah's got my back. So subhanallah, look at her sacrifice. She knows she can't see any way out right now. She sees desert, empty desert, sands across as far as the eye can see, mountains around her. She knows she can't hunt, she can't go to a grocery store. She doesn't see other people around her. But she knows if this is from Allah, and even if she didn't see that this was from Allah, she knows that Allah has protected her. She knows that Allah will protect her, will guard her, will provide for her, as He has done the entire life. SubhanAllah, sometimes we find ourselves in predicaments and situations where we think, where is Allah? But if Allah has not left you, since the day you were born, providing for you, protecting you, now you're how old, wherever you are in situation, He didn't leave you that whole time. Do you think He's left you now? And this is exactly the perspective of Hajj through the lens of Hajar alayhi salam. That she understood what her husband was doing. She was supportive of that. But she had taqwa of Allah, that Allah is also her protector. That Allah, firstly and foremost, is her protector, is her guardian, is her razaq, that He will provide for her. He will nourish for her and her child that she had just given birth to. Right? So their motherly instincts kicked in. And with that, subhanAllah, part of the Hajj is to perform the sa'i, which is going from Safa to Marwa 7 times. And then you have to run in between. This is ingrained in our religion. And this is also, as Allah put it, one of the signs of Allah, subhanAllah. It has become one of the signs of Allah. And as you can see, this is the essence of sacrifice throughout the Hajj. This is the sacrifice throughout Hajj. No matter which position you're in, whether you are a man, a woman, a child, a father, a mother, in any position that you are in, we have a way and a lens to look through with Hajj. And subhanAllah, that's exactly what the Hujjaj and the pilgrims are doing. They're literally just finishing these rites of Hajj. And hopefully, by keeping the essence of Hajj in mind, they're now returning home with that fixed taqwa, that new lens, and enjoying the new renewed life that they have, returning as sinless as the day they were born, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, with a Hajj Mabrur. And may Allah Azza wa Jalla accept their Hajj and give them a Hajj Mabrur. All the Hujjaj who have been before and all those that will come until Yawm al-Qiyamah. Ameen Ya Rabbal Alameen. With that, having said that, MashaAllah, I am humbly and very pleasantly going to introduce our next guest, inshallah. I am joined by Sheikh Abu Hanifa. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah khair for being here with us today.
It's a pleasure.
I know you've traversed through the hustle and bustle, not like the Hujjaj, but very similar.
Not too far off the Hujjaj, to be honest, when you're looking at the traffic in East London at times. But alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair for joining us. Sheikh, obviously, I want to dive right in. I know you've been to Hajj before. Obviously, mashallah, you've done many Umrahs as well.
Yep.
May Allah accept them from you. I mean, what is the feeling and the atmosphere right now? Because it's the 12th. So most of the Hujjaj are finished, or some might be staying until the 13th. So what is the atmosphere right now? How does one feel at this point in the tents of Mina?
So things have changed since I went a few years ago, and it's there's a lot more facilities now.
Yeah.
But the Ayyam al-Tashriq, which is the 11th, 12th, and 13th of Dhul Hijjah, I always found them one of the most enjoyable, because effectively you've completed the major rites of Hajj, the arkan of Hajj, and you're now really just focusing on the stoning every day, and you've got a lot more time for dhikr, for contemplation, for visiting the tents and meeting, Muslims, from across the globe. So I always found them the most enjoyable and the most pleasant, and it always was an opportunity to reflect and for the Hajj experience to unravel itself.
Mashallah.
Hajj is a very intense experience, and when you're in the moment, it's not that easy to reflect on its meanings, its purpose. But it's only even when you come back, you talk to other Hujjaj, that the experience starts to unravel itself in your mind, and it has a kind of deep effect. That's why some people, they even struggle to talk about Hajj. For them, they haven't processed it yet, and it's still a complex experience that they went through. But I always found these days, Ayyam al-Tashriq, the most enjoyable. And you do find some people getting quite restless, trying to make plans to leave. Really keen to kind of get back, have a shower in normal settings. But I always found them a great opportunity to reflect.
MashaAllah, that's a very beautiful point, subhanAllah. I think many people don't reflect because it's so busy. Yeah? I think that's a very interesting point, MashaAllah. Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Alhamdulillah, we do have a caller on the line, so we'll go straight to the caller, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, dear caller.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Yes, my brother. Where are you calling from? What's your name?
I'm calling from London, and my name is Nabil.
MashaAllah, Nabil. How are you doing today? How do you feel watching Hajj on the ground?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. Really interesting show.
MashaAllah. Jazakallah khair. What would you like to say? Would you like to make a dua for everyone? How are you feeling?
I would like to ask you a question.
Yes, Bismillah.
So I wanted to ask the Sheikh, when you're doing a Qurbani, you're not allowed to cut your hair or nails. What is the significance of this? Like, why the nails and hair?
Okay, mashallah. Jazakallah khair. Sheikh?
Yeah. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalam ala rasulillah. Wallahu a'lam. The clearest reason is because there's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, which clearly instructs that. But one thing is we should appreciate that there's a historic difference of opinion amongst scholars. So some scholars are very strict on it. In certain madhahib, namely the Hanbali madhab, they're particularly strict about this, not cutting their nails or their hair. And other madhahib, they are not so strict on it. So it shouldn't become something of creating conflict or a rift within the family. Now, with regards to the wisdom, some of the scholars do explain that it's a kind of mini type of ihram. So the Hujjaj, which are on the in their state of ihram in Makkah or Arafah, Muzdalifah, they have the complete ihram, okay, the complete restrictions. So those of us who are not on Hajj, we kind of have a mini type of ihram, which is where those who are in a position that they're going to be carrying out a slaughter, they kind of have some of the restrictions of ihram. So they won't be cutting their nails, they won't be removing hair. So inshallah ta'ala, we kind of go through part of that experience, if that makes sense. Wallahu a'lam, this is one of the wisdoms which has been quoted by scholars.
MashaAllah. Jazakallah khair, Brother Nabil, for your question. Alhamdulillah, a very enlightening answer, Sheikh. Alhamdulillah. I believe we also have Sheikh Yunus Dudwala on the line as well. So we can actually, mashallah, Okay, we'll be coming to him inshallah. But I'm not sure if he's in Mina or he's at the Jamarat right now. But we'll be able to go to him inshallah very shortly. We're just prepping that in the background. But Sheikh, I wanted to ask, obviously, with your beautiful point about reflecting on Hajj, what impact has Hajj had on you? And just before we go to that, you might want to simmer on it, but because we have another caller inshallah.
Okay.
We'll go to that caller inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, dear caller.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, sister. How are you doing today? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from London.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Sister, have you been on Hajj before?
Yeah, last
MashaAllah.
year.
MashaAllah. May Allah accept it from you. Alhamdulillah. How was your experience last year?
Wonderful.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. What do you have to say to the viewers at home about Hajj?
About Hajj, Hajj is a wonderful experience, and it's I can't explain. I don't have words to explain it, because still, though I have performed it last year, I cannot absorb it properly.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah.
I don't even remember
MashaAllah,
a few things. But alhamdulillah, we have performed it. And I would like to make a dua for my brother.
Mm-hmm.
He's in a deep difficulty or depression sort of thing. Could you please make dua for him that Allah make his life better and he'll get all the happiness he deserves.
Inshallah. Ameen, Ameen. Sheikh, if you could please.
Yeah. Allahumma inna na'udhu bika min al-hammi wal-huzn. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give relief to your brother from anxiety and sorrow. This is a very important dua for you to read and for your brother and for all the Muslimin to read. The Prophet ﷺ every morning and evening would make this dua. Allahumma inna na'udhu bika min al-hammi wal-huzn. There is a longer part to this dua, but I want to focus on this key point of seeking refuge in Allah from anxiety and sorrow. Seeking refuge in Allah from regret for things that have happened in the past which will disable you and prevent you moving forwards, and also seeking refuge in Allah from fear of the future. So really encourage your brother and for your whole family to read the morning and evening adhkar. They're very uplifting, and also to read Quran and to make plenty of dua. But may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give relief to your brother and to make the affairs of your whole family better, inshaAllah ta'ala. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen.
Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Jazakallah khairah, sister, for your wonderful call and your message about Hajj as well. Sheikh, alhamdulillah, I believe we're going to someone on the ground. It's Sajid on the ground, mashallah, live from the city of Mina, I believe, mashallah. So, assalamu alaikum, brother Sajid. Can you hear us?
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Very good to see you, MashaAllah. It looks like you're actually outside of Mina and the Jamaraat. I believe, are you in Makkah right now?
Correct. Azizia.
Azizia, yeah. MashaAllah, MashaAllah. So you're enjoying the life outside of Hajj now?
So we just came back from the Jamarat about half hour ago.
Okay, MashaAllah. So now you've completely finished all the rites of Hajj. What's your plan from there after, and how are you feeling after having performed the Hajj, brother Sajid?
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Mixed feelings, I suppose. When we were going to the Jamarat to do the stoning, of course, we were very pleased, mashallah, that, it was the final rites of Hajj, but at the same time, with a sense of sadness, to know that Hajj is more or less come to an end.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. And what do you feel like now that you've completed the Hajj? How are you going to be taking the lessons that you learned from Hajj moving forward in life for the remainder of the year and your life?
Wallahi, we ask Allah to make it, a turning point for all of us. I think anyone who comes for Hajj comes with the intention to, start from zero, start again, and ask Allah for Hajj Mabrur. So to be able to come at such a difficult time in itself is a huge blessing. So alhamdulillah, we thank Allah. And we ask Allah to have given everyone a Hajj Mabrur. And for those who haven't performed Hajj, we ask Allah to allow them to come in their lifetime and to have an accepted Hajj, inshallah.
Ameen, ya Rab. Ameen. MashaAllah. That's beautiful. Brother Sajid, I know obviously you regularly go to Umrah and Hajj. This year we saw many of the footage and everything like that about the new facilities that are, for example, in Mina and Arafah and stuff. How did you feel that the logistics of Hajj this year had changed? Was it good? Was it bad? Was it really something that made Hajj even easier than previous years?
Wallahi, it's difficult to say. Alhamdulillah, as you mentioned, we've been, coming Hajj pre-Corona, and even now as well. Obviously, with Tazkiyah tours, we have two separate ways, like a British, Pakistani overseas package, and then, a Nusuk official entry through Tawaaf Mina. So there's different ways of performing Hajj, I guess. There's different entries, but a little bit has changed. I would be honest and say that prior to the change and prior to Corona, I think was a bit better, obviously, because people had more guidance from the beginning to the end. Whereas now, the Hujjaj are probably expected to do a little bit more by themselves. So no doubt, the Murshid or the people here, like ourselves and people who've come to help the Hajis, will do our utmost best. But there's some things that are not in our control. And there's some things, of course, are with the authorities. And I think now people who are coming for Hajj, they need to have in their mind a sense of responsibility, that there'll be times they'll be having to do things themselves rather than beforehand. SubhanAllah, the Hajjis have someone to literally hold their hand from the beginning to the end.
SubhanAllah.
So from a logistic point of view, a lot has changed. But no, I wouldn't say there's any really huge technology or any wow kind of factor from the last time. Alhamdulillah, the authorities try hard. The AC is good, the Mina tents are nice. I still think it's a question why something as simple as a gutter system or toilets can't be refurbished or cleansed or changed with the amount of money that flows into the country. That's a conversation for another time. But generally speaking, there's comfort there. The Hajjis are not really doing Hajj how people done it 1400 years ago, 100 years ago, 200 years ago. In your tents, you've got AC everywhere. You've got fans everywhere. You've got fridges that are full of water, Pepsi, 7-Up, milk, 3 meals a day. When you move from A to B, there's buses. So let's be honest, there's a lot of comfort for the people who go. It's not, I wouldn't say it's something that, challenging in that sense.
MashaAllah.
It will still remain challenging in a sense how it was prior, which is the physical element. A person needs to factor in. There's a lot of, obviously, walking and, at times you do get pushed to your very edge. Naam.
MashaAllah. Jazakallah khair. That's a brilliant insight, MashaAllah. Sheikh, do you have any questions for Brother Sajid before he leaves us? A final question, maybe?
Brother Sajid, it's lovely to hear your voice from Azizia, and it's inspirational to hear your kind of reflections. What would you say is your most enduring memory from this Hajj? What has really stuck out to you? Was it a specific moment? Was it a specific scene or someone particularly you met? What's been your most enduring memory from this Hajj?
Wallahi, Sheikh, if I'm honest with you, there's a few things, but a few of them that come to the top of the mind is that no doubt the authorities, they really try their best. As you know, when coming and going to the Jamarat, spraying the water, handing out so many juices, drinks, water bottles. The amount of police and army and officials that you see who are really working around the clock, Allah Jalla khair. You have to appreciate the effort that goes in. But one thing that really stuck out for me, and I find that it's really amazing, is that the Hujjaj were not put off by the heat this year. Because it's 47, 45. But people were not put off. SubhanAllah, A lot of people would have thought, I'll come next year. I'll come when it's cooler. I'll come in a few years. But that wasn't a deterrent. And there were people collapsing with heat stroke and all kinds of things. But what really stuck out in my mind was to just see that regardless of the heat, people were just going. They were helping one another, trying to put a cold towel on the head, people handing out umbrellas. Wallahi, just regardless of the heat, regardless of the circumstances, people want a Hajj Mabrur. And it just shows you that the level that, you know, people go to. Because in the end of the day, when you think of Qiyamah, when you think of the Day of Judgment, nothing comes closer than Arafah. When you see the people all gathering on Arafah making dua and no one's concerned about who's next to them, it really takes you back to the thought of the next life and Yawm al-Qiyamah. So to see the Muslims gather in their numbers that they gathered and they weren't put off by the weather conditions, Wallah, alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah.
It's great to see the Ummah come together. And we ask Allah to reward everyone. Because there was a lot of struggle, no doubt, because of the weather.
MashaAllah. Jazakallah khair, Brother Sajid, for obviously your beautiful insight, your time with us from Azizia as well. MashaAllah, it's very good to see you. Thank you for being on the ground. Alhamdulillah. Brothers and sisters, Jazakallah khair for joining us. Brothers and sisters, this is the end of the show. I want to thank our beautiful Sheikh, Sheikh Abu Hanifa, for joining us. Sheikh, may Allah reward you. May Allah reward you like you just did a Hajj as well. You know, traversing through all those crowds. Alhamdulillah, you didn't do nothing in that sense, but inshallah, a reward is written for you like it. Ameen, Ya Rab. Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair. Brothers and sisters, thank you for joining us. As you mentioned earlier, that this was Hajj on the ground. We've been with you from the 8th of Dhul Hijjah all the way to the 12th. Alhamdulillah, don't forget, from 6 p.m. we have Eid with Eman. Fun packed show. We got lots to do, lots of games, lots of fun. We have, I believe, MKTV that should be on as well. So EKTV that should be on as well. So we'll have Javeer here with us, making lots of fun and noise, inshallah, and we'll get to that as well. So don't forget to join us from 6 p.m. inshallah. I've been your host Ahmed Sham. We hope that you haven't accepted Hajj if you've been, and may Allah Azza wa Jalla call you if you've never been to Hajj and give you a Hajj Mabrur as well. Remember the spirit of Hajj, and with that we leave you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك لبيك لا